So if you've heard anything from CES this year, then you probably know that xTool said they're going to announce 6 or 7 new products into the marketplace. These aren't all lasers, and the first one of these has just dropped. It's the all-new xTool Apparel printer. I'm personally really excited about this printer because I've been looking for a DTF printer for my own work, and hopefully this is the one, because the current DTF printers are cost prohibitive and the process to use them is quite painful, we'll say. And I'll talk a bit about that as we look at the all-new xTool Apparel printer. Hey, Steve here, and welcome back. Now, I mentioned I'm very excited about this new xTool Apparel printer, in part because I've actually been looking at DTF printers for myself, and I haven't pulled the trigger yet because they're very expensive. They require a ton of maintenance if you're not using them constantly. And the process to use them is fairly awkward. You basically do a print and then you powder in a separate step in a tray, and then you heat that, and then you can go put it on a shirt. It's just not really what I want. I want the easy button where you can just push something and have it print something out, and that's ready to go. So quite excited about that. Now, xTool I think has cracked all of these problems, and let's take a look at some specs. So I popped up the specifications here, and this is just information I pulled from xTool's website, and you can go look there if you want details. I'm not going to go through this line by line, but I will cover a few things here. So the first thing you're going to notice is the weight. This thing weighs 62 pounds, which means two things. It's robust and it's designed for business. This probably isn't going to be a hobby laser. It's going to be for people like me who may have other aspects of their business, but you also want to do things like t-shirts, and for me it's more marketing than saying I'm going to sell t-shirts. If somebody buys something, I'll throw in a t-shirt, and I think that's a nice gesture when people spend a few $1,000s in your company. So that's my goal with one of these. Now, the next thing of note here is the width. If you look at some of the other DTF printers in this price range, again, they have all these heavy-duty processes, but a 14-inch wide printer, which is what this one is, that will tend to cost you much more than what xTool is offering here. So they're really aggressively attacking this market, and I think that's a good thing because I really think the DTF market is grossly overpriced. So looking down the list here, the next thing is the kinds of materials this can work with, and they have basically every kind of fabric you can imagine here. But there's two words at the end of that sentence, which is "and more," and I'm pretty excited about that because given xTool's vision for building an ecosystem, I'm hoping "and more" means that I can do a print on this printer and cut out some kind of a plaque maybe on my xTool P2S, and then heat treat that color onto that plaque so that I get a complete end-to-end experience in the xTool world. They use the Epson i1600 dual print head, which is the same print head I've been looking at in other DTF printers that gives you 720 by 1800 pixel resolution. They haven't really said how fast this printer is going to be to get you an output that you can stick onto a piece of fabric. So you can do some math here because they're saying that this will do 50 square feet of printable material in an hour. So I think this thing is going to be pretty fast to get you output. The feed here is single sheet, but they do say they're going to have feed like rolled film that you can print directly, and presumably there's a cutter in there that'll cut it. That's really important for people who have businesses like me, where you're making not one t-shirt, but you're making dozens potentially. And of course, the print colors here, they use standard CMYK, but also black and white. So if you've been using, like I have, an Epson EcoTank printer with sublimation ink, you didn't get white, and that kills you on any shirt that isn't white. So this one, you can iron this on any color of material you want, and I think that's fantastic. Again, this is competing with the bigger, more expensive line of commercial DTF printers, and I think they've hit it spot on here. Now, as far as software, they use XCS. If you've ever used an xTool product, then you probably already know XCS, which means you already know how to use this printer. Last thing to call out here, one of the reasons I haven't specifically bought a DTF printer right now is because I don't use a DTF printer constantly like, say, a t-shirt shop would use. So I would basically be spending 3/4 of my time with any DTF printer, cleaning the print heads, wasting ink, wasting time. Well, xTool has solved all of those problems. They have basically built-in AI maintenance, so it cleans the print heads, it does calibration. They use a 16 megapixel camera, and that helps you align. Just awesome. Like, I think they've thought of everything here, and I'm very excited to have one. So hopefully, xTool, if you're listening, set one aside for me, because I'm coming, man. I think this is going to be a great idea, and I think it's really going to disrupt the DTF printer business. So I'll put a link down below if you're interested in reserving. Right now you can reserve one of these for $50, I believe it is. And that's refundable if you change your mind. But if you buy one right now in the Kickstarter project, you can get one for $39.99, which again I think is a fantastic price. And typically with their previous plan, with the F1 Ultra, the discount price when you bought early was about $1,000 off. So presumably it's going to be something similar. They haven't said, but that's coming. I'll put a link in the description down below if you want to reserve one of these, and you use my link. You'll not only help me out, but I think you'll actually save a bit of additional money by using my code, and that can only help everybody, including you. So with that, I'll wind down. I'll say get out there, make your world, and hopefully we can get an xTool printer to do some really cool things, and I'll see you next time.